Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Meet Touchstone Essentials Live Product Training Edition. Good to have you all with us. I'm Craig Daly, Vice President of Global Sales, and I'm here with Cindy Klement. Cindy, you've got another picture tonight. Tell us about it.
There you go. We're talking about anti-aging. There's my mom, age 92. There's my dad, age 94. This was Father's Day. A few things have happened since then, but I have a lot of very old relatives. So I got some good genes. Got some good genes.
Good genes, and it's good to live a long time feeling good, right?
Yeah, does Michael look a little bit older to you too there, Craig?
Absolutely, yeah. I haven't seen Michael for a little while. He's got gray hair going on as well.
Yep, you got it.
So that's great. Well, Cindy, we appreciate you being here. And for those that might be new tonight, Cindy's fantastic. She's an acclaimed speaker, published author, a nutritionist, herbalist, adjunct professor. She's been in the business for 40 plus years. I've known you for 30 years, and she knows her stuff. She teaches doctors about nutrition. So we're lucky to have her here a couple of times a month to teach us about nutrition and Touchstone Essentials products. So we're going to learn tonight about anti-aging products that are within the Touchstone Essentials line. So Cindy, with that, we'll turn it over to you.
All right. I'm excited to be here, Craig. Thank you always so much for all these opportunities to share my information. I wanted to start out by talking about a Gallup poll that was done in the 1970s, and they interviewed thousands. I think it was something like 50,000 Americans who were 90 years or older. And when they took all that data and put it together, they concluded that the way to live a long life is, one, be born in Norway. So of course, I haven't got that one. But number two, be of long-lived ancestors. And then we've got don't worry, don't smoke, eat wisely and lightly, be enthusiastic, have a strong spiritual nature, and lastly, be a woman. Out of the 53,000 plus people aged 100 years or older in the United States in 2010, more than 80% were women. So women do tend to live longer than men. Of course, not always, but that's the statistics. So there are a number of people aged 100 or older, of course, in 2019. But what's interesting is that number is more than triple the 100-year-old people in 1980. So we are living longer. And although aging is an inevitable part of our life, most of us want to hold on to that youthfulness as long as possible. And of course, we can't stop ourselves from aging, but we can make those dietary and lifestyle changes to slow certain aging processes, and then, of course, reduce our risk of age-related diseases. Now, to me, of course, it isn't necessarily about wanting to live to be 100. For me, it's more about the quality of life. My paternal grandmother, Ethel, lived to be 100 years old, and she was sharp as a tack until the day she died, but she had no body. Her body was crippled with osteoarthritis. Now, my maternal grandmother only made it to 97, and yet she was vital until the very end. She had a little bit of, cognitive decline, of course, at 97, but very thin, on absolutely no medication, had a little mini stroke and died in her sleep. So I want to stay proactive as long as I've got, because I've got these long-lived ancestors. And so, as I was telling Craig before we began, my mom fell recently after Father's Day. And so, again, I'm watching what happens to these aging parents of mine. And in order to stay proactive, I'm actually looking into classes, believe it or not, on how to fall safely. Did you know there was such a thing? There are classes that can teach us to fall safely so that we don't get injured. So, I'm trying everything I can so that I'm vital like Grandma Rose. But aging itself is defined as a process of becoming older, but also the body's process of deterioration over time. And the key to aging without medication, of course, is prevention. Now, my grandma Rose, as I mentioned, she lived a very long time, 97 years, and she was very vital right till the end. The funny thing is she went to an osteopathic doctor, and he had her on vitamins in the 40s and 50s. She was drinking herbal tea all that time. So to me, she really kind of was a role model or a mentor for me, just because I really appreciated that she was just so vital. So that's part of the reason I went into my career as a health person. So we have lots of causes of aging, but the main one is, first and foremost, the accumulated cellular damage that's caused by these free radicals. I know we talk about these free radicals every week, but it's so important to understand. These free radicals can cause a shortening of something called telomeres. And telomeres are the structures located at the ends of our chromosomes, and they play a really important part in cellular division, so of regeneration of tissue in the body. And I want you to think of the little plastic caps on the ends of shoelaces. The telomeres are something like that. Whereas that little plastic protects the shoe from unraveling, the telomeres are kind of what protect our chromosomes from, I guess I could say, unraveling. So following a nutrient-dense diet, exercising regularly, avoiding smoking and excessive alcohol intake, these are all the best ways to support healthy aging and slow those effects of aging on the body. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but scientists have identified numerous food and plant substances that have been shown to slow certain aging processes and help prevent those age-related diseases. So let's talk about it this way. The age-related increases in systemic inflammation are associated and predictive of aging in our bodies. And you may ask, well, why is that? Because increased inflammation is associated with tissue dysfunctioning. So it can increase our risk of metabolic syndrome, of immune dysfunctioning, and even dysfunction of the nerve cells in our brain and nervous system. And of course, experts believe that this inflammation also contributes to chronic diseases such as heart disease, obesity, and cancer. So lots going on with inflammation. And why they say that is because people with those conditions typically have higher levels of inflammatory markers in their body. So they created this new word called, they're always coming up with these new words in health and medicine, inflammaging. So inflammatory aging, inflammaging. And it's a term that they're now using to describe aging that's induced by this chronic, persistent underlying inflammation. And for an example of what it does to the skin, this inflammation can ultimately exhaust the skin's defenses. And when that happens, this weakens the skin structure. It results in a degradation of collagen and elastin, and it can also impair the skin's barrier functioning, which of course then leads to more infections in the body. But what about sleep? What does a lack of sleep have to do with aging? Well, think about this. Beneath the surface of what we see externally when we look in the mirror, our bodies are also aging internally, and sleep loss can speed up that process. So there was a study done by the University of California, Los Angeles, and researchers there discovered, and this is shocking, that just a single night of insufficient sleep can make an older adult cells age quicker. So not the younger people, but the older adults. And, this might not seem like a very big deal, but a lack of sleep also has the potential to bring on a lot of other diseases. So sleep, as they say, may be just as important to our health in old age as diet and exercise. But we need the right amount, because these studies are showing that sleeping too much or too little is associated with mortality in older adults. There's also a growing body of research that indicates that not getting enough sleep can increase our risk of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, obesity, as well as depression. Now, without regular exercise, people over the age of 50 can experience a range of health problems. There is reduced muscle mass. It's called sarcopenia, that happens after the 5th decade of life. So reduced muscle mass, reduced strength and physical endurance, reduced coordination and balance, reduced joint flexibility and mobility. So exercise can contribute to maintaining that quality of life, the quality of health, the physical functioning, and help to reduce those falls among older people. And interestingly, I mentioned that my mom fell recently. We laugh about this, but mom has never exercised a day in her life. And here she is, 92. What she used to tell us is she got upset when we exercised, because she would say to us, "You only get so many bends." So she didn't want to move her arms. She didn't want to move her legs. She seriously believed that you only got so many bends and that joints wore out. So no matter how many times we told her that wasn't true, that was what she believed. So gosh, Mom. Anyway, according to a study published in 2021 in the peer-reviewed journal, it's called Environmental Toxicology and Pharmacology. Environmental pollutant exposure demonstrated in this paper that was published that it was absolutely a contributor to aging and age-related diseases. And overall, a consensus in the scientific community is emerging, and they say that this environmental pollutant exposure can lead to that accelerated telomere erosion. So not protecting our chromosomes anymore. It can further induce a premature deterioration of the cell's power, of its power of division, its power to repair itself, its power of growth. And because of this, it's been shown to be responsible for that accelerated aging and the high mortality rate of these age-related diseases. So in another example, which doesn't have to do with older people, but just to illustrate this fact about this aging process with environmental pollutants, there was a study conducted at the Massachusetts General Hospital's Fertility Center. So we're talking about young women. And the results suggested that exposure to just this one chemical called propylparaben contributed to ovarian aging and diminished ovarian functioning in women who were seeking treatment for infertility. So, something to think about there with this environmental exposure. But it's also important to note that a decrease in what are called phase 2 enzyme activity, phase 2 enzymes, when there's a decrease in that activity, it's also associated with aging, because the cancer prevention role of many of these phase 2 enzymes has been really well documented. And these phase 2 enzymes are the major detoxification enzymes that are produced in our liver. And they're an important part of the cellular defense, of our cell's defense against carcinogens, oxidation, as well as toxic chemicals. So we always have to keep in mind detoxification. Now, stress, whether it's in the form of traumatic events, injuries, job strains, everyday stressor, stress accelerates the aging of the immune system. And when this happens, this can potentially increase the person's risk of cancer or cardiovascular disease, or even illnesses from infections. And this was just published last month at the University of Southern California. So again, we got to get rid of that stress. We've had webinars on how to reduce stress. We've had webinars on the immune system. We've had webinars about oxidants and free radicals. So go back and rewatch some of those, or watch them if you haven't yet already. Now, interestingly, staying involved and active is imperative. A recent study showed that not only do lonely people perceive their past in a more negative light, but they are also more likely to feel helpless and threatened in their current situation. And ironically, they're less likely to seek help when they're stressed out. The study also found that in that older group of adults, the lonely adults had higher blood pressure readings than the older adults that weren't lonely. So staying involved and staying active is very, very important. And researchers also pointed out that when you're stressed, of course, you have higher levels of that stress hormone, epinephrine. And the researchers found that elevated epinephrine levels suggested that these lonely adults live in a heightened sense of arousal. And this as well can have effects, negative effects on our risk of heart disease and other health problems. So let's look at what we need to do to support that healthy aging. Well, first of all, the researchers at Mayo Clinic believe that there is a link between lifestyle factors and the biological processes of aging. And in a very recent study, researchers demonstrated that this is so fascinating to me, that a poor diet and lack of exercise accelerated that onset of cellular deterioration and in turn increased those age-related conditions. But they found in this same study that eating 3 or more servings of processed foods every day is linked with those shorter telomeres once again. And remember, those are the structures that mark your biological age. If you protect the telomeres and the chromosomes don't become damaged, or if you have longer telomeres, that indicates longevity in the body. So protecting those telomeres is of great importance. So which nutrients do we need for healthy aging? Well, aging bodies process protein less efficiently, and they need more of it to maintain that muscle mass and muscle strength and bone health and other essential physiological functions. Even healthy seniors need more protein than when they were younger to help preserve that muscle mass. Now, I talked about how aging bodies, they process the protein less efficiently. When you're looking at organic super protein, remember, of course, that's an excellent source of plant-based proteins, but it's got the enzymes in that product to help us process and digest that protein more effectively. Next, omega-3 fatty acids. In a study of about 4,000 women, they found that women that had higher intakes of the omega-3 fatty acid, and we've talked about this one as well, alpha-linoleic acid. And by the way, alpha-linoleic acid is the most abundant fatty acid in the skin. These 4,000 women were less likely to experience thinning of the skin. And of course, when that happens, that magnifies the wrinkles on our face. So the older women in the study who had lower dietary intake of alpha-linoleic acid, or ALA, and vitamin C, they had drier skin. So we find ALA, or alpha-linoleic acid, in wellspring. Now, vitamin E plays a role in immune functioning as well as in the regulation of inflammation in the body. Vitamin E is an antioxidant. Antioxidants reduce inflammation in the body. There is some evidence that is showing that older adults need more vitamin E than younger adults to help maintain health during that aging process. So foods that are high in vitamin E are found in super green juice, essentials, as well as organic super protein. Now, vitamin C functions as, again, a powerful antioxidant. Remember, the antioxidant vitamins are vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, as well as the trace mineral selenium. So we call those the ACEs: vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, and selenium. So vitamin C, because it's an antioxidant, it's going to help protect the cells from those free radicals and that oxidative damage. They did a study with adults aged 60 or older, and they showed that those with higher blood levels of vitamin C, forget protecting cells, forget the immune system, people, the adults over age 60 that had higher levels of vitamin C, they performed better on tasks involving attention, focus, memory, decision-making, recall, as well as recognition. So, vitamin C, of course, it's essential for skin health, and it helps to improve skin hydration. It stimulates collagen production. It safeguards against wrinkle development and premature aging, especially when you're exposed to the sun. But what's more, and we talked about this just a second ago, vitamin C improves the immune functioning in older adults. So foods that are high in vitamin C are found in organic super protein, essentials, super greens plus D, as well as super green juice. Now let's take a look at some of the plants that the scientists found were instrumental in healthy aging. And we'll begin with Rhodiola rosea. This is a medicinal plant with potent anti-inflammatory properties, but several studies have demonstrated that consumption of Rhodiola rosea on a fairly regular basis helps promote longevity. Of course, rhodiola is found in brain focus fuel as well as super green juice. Now, there's a process that occurs in our body called cellular senescence, and this occurs when the cells stop dividing. Now, cells need to divide to regenerate if there's an injury in the body or in the aging process. We need our cells to continue dividing to create that new growth. But as you age, these senescent cells tend to accumulate, and they believe that this is what accelerates the aging and the disease progression in our body. Luckily, research demonstrates that curcumin activates the certain proteins that help delay that cellular senescence and then promotes longevity in the body. In fact, there were animal studies conducted that showed that curcumin combats the cellular damage and significantly increased the lifespan in these animals. So, of course, this compound has been shown to postpone age-related disease, alleviate age-related symptoms as well. So good stuff. And this may be exactly why turmeric intake is associated with a reduced risk of age-related cognitive decline in humans. So, of course, curcumin is found in wellspring. Now, matcha green tea. Matcha green tea has been proven to promote longevity and protect against age-related diseases. And how it works is by restoring what's called the mitochondrial function in the cells. And the mitochondria is what gives your cells those energies, to stay active and keep producing new cells and dividing new cells and keeping the cells strong and healthy. But it also works on pathways involved in the aging process. It also induces something called autophagy, which is the process by which your body removes damaged cellular materials. Plus, there may be an association between green tea and the protection against aging of the skin. Additionally, there is one study that suggested that daily matcha tea, green tea intake can suppress brain aging, and it does so by activating the nerve cells and reducing stress and protecting against age-related liver dysfunction. Now, remember, those phase 2 enzymes are made in the liver. So if we can protect our liver, we're also protecting our body's ability to detoxify. So let's take a look now at some of the best foods that are known to support healthy aging, and we'll begin with blueberries. Blueberries are rich in vitamin A and vitamin C, as well as in what we call the age-defying antioxidant called anthocyanin. Anthocyanin is what, by the way, gives blueberries that really deep, beautiful blue color. And these powerful antioxidants, these anthocyanins that are found in them, can help protect our skin, and not just protect our skin, but also protect it from the damage of the sun, to stress, to cold, to heat, as well as to pollution. And what it does is it moderates the inflammatory responses in the skin and helps to prevent collagen loss. Now, broccoli is an anti-inflammatory, anti-aging powerhouse packed with vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin K. Broccoli has a variety of antioxidants. It's loaded with fiber. It contains folate or vitamin B9. It's got lutein for our eyes. It's high in calcium. And broccoli, of course, is found in super green juice, super greens plus D, as well as essentials. Now, spinach is super hydrating. It's packed with antioxidants that help to oxygenate and replenish the entire body. It's also high in vitamin C. And as we mentioned before, this enhances that collagen production to help keep the skin firm and smooth. Its vitamin A content promotes strong, shiny hair, and the vitamin K in it has been shown to help reduce inflammation in the cells. But spinach is also rich in iron and lutein and magnesium. And spinach is found in super green juice as well as super greens plus D. That orange color of sweet potatoes comes from an antioxidant called beta carotene. And beta carotene, when we eat it in a plant food, it's converted to vitamin A in our body. And beta carotene can help restore the elasticity of our skin. It can promote skin cell turnover. In other words, to keep those cells dividing and replenishing. And ultimately, it can contribute to very soft and youthful looking skin. But sweet potatoes are also an excellent source of vitamin C and vitamin E, which again, as we mentioned, protect the skin from harmful free radicals and keep the complexion radiant. Sweet potato is found in essentials. Now, pomegranate has been used for centuries. It's been known as a healing medicinal fruit. It's high in vitamin C, high in a variety of potent antioxidants. But pomegranates can protect our body from these free radicals because of these antioxidants, and then in turn reduces that inflammation, that inflammaging, as we talked about. They also, the pomegranate also contains a compound called punicalagins, and that has been shown to slow the signs of aging. It also helps to decrease the UV skin damage and the brown spots that we get from that exposure to the sun. Now, I know in the 60s, we never wore sunscreen in the 60s ever. Did we ever wear it? So I have a few of those brown spots that I would like to go away as well. Like most fruits, pomegranates are full of healthy nutrients. They're high in fiber and potassium and vitamin K. And of course, some of these will also help to protect the heart. The nutrients that are found in pomegranates are going to help prompt the skin to make new collagen, which is always a plus. And pomegranate is found in super green juice. Now, tomato itself can provide very impressive health benefits, several of which can be attributed to their high lycopene content. And lycopene, again, another antioxidant that helps reduce the risk of chronic diseases. They did studies in human skin samples, and they showed that lycopene provides a small amount of protection against those damaging rays of the sun. So we're talking a lot about the skin, but that's one of the things that we notice ages the most as we get older. Yes, the hair loses its color, as evidenced by mine, but the skin as well. If you have younger looking skin, you'll stay looking younger, even though we're aging on the inside as well. Now, tomato is found in super green juice. Cocoa, found in brain focus fuel, that's a rich source of something called polyphenols, and those are antioxidants as well. And in particular, Cocoa contains something called flavanols, and they are linked to numerous health benefits, such as lowering the risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and cognitive decline. Additionally, it's thought that a diet rich in flavonoids and other antioxidants, again, can help prevent the aging of the skin. So here we are, we're going to look younger and younger. They did one what we call a high quality study. They did it for 6 months with a number of participants, and they showed that those who consumed this flavanol rich cocoa experienced significant improvements in skin elasticity and facial wrinkles compared with those in the control group. So cocoa, aren't we happy about that? Now, flax seeds offer impressive health benefits. They contain something called lignans, and that's a type of a polyphenol that has antioxidant effects in the body, and it helps to lower our risk of developing those chronic diseases, but they're also a great source of those omega-3 fatty acid, alpha-linoleic acid. So consuming that diet rich in omega-3 fatty acids helps to support a healthy skin membrane, healthy cellular membranes. Remember, all of our cells have a membrane that is kind of a fatty tissue, and it needs those fats. So consuming omega-3 fatty acids also protects not only the cell membranes in our body, but our skin, and helps it stay hydrated and looking more plump. Now, they did these another high quality studies in the years 2009 through 2011, and they showed that women who consumed flax seeds for 4 months showed increased hydration and smoother skin. So flax seeds are found in super green juice, organic super protein, as well as wellspring. Now, lastly, grapes. Resveratrol is what comes from the skin of grapes, and this, of course, counters inflammation. It also slows the aging process, and it fights the effects of that UV light and sun damage in our skin. And grapes are found in essentials. So the National Institute on Aging, they actually have a checklist to help promote healthy aging. And the first, of course, is to eat a balanced diet and maintain a desirable weight, get regular exercise, at least 20 minutes every day, don't smoke, stay involved with your family and friends, allow time for fun, for rest and relaxation, stay active through your work, through recreation, through community activities, through church activities, get enough sleep, keep your hands clean, avoid overexposure to both heat and cold, keep the home humidified in the winter, and maintain a positive attitude in life. And I can tell you, that is one thing that I learned from my father. No matter what happens in that man's life, he can put a positive spin on it. It's really pretty amazing. I'm very blessed to have that as a role model. So again, suffice it to say that by using Touchstone Essentials products daily, we can obtain all the essential nutrients that we need for that healthier aging process, as well as detoxification using zeolite and the fulvic minerals plus. But we also need to supplement our daily healthy aging regime with a good diet, with exercise, staying involved socially, getting enough good quality sleep, and reducing our stress. So folks, that concludes our presentation this evening. And as Craig mentioned, I invite you to join us again on September 8th for the webinar, Prenatal Planning for Both Women and Men. So back to you, Craig.
Thank you, Cindy. A wonderful job again. A very interesting conversation about anti-aging and specifically how Touchstone Essentials can really help. Touchstone Essentials products. We've got amazing products for that. And so I'm grateful tonight for you, and thank you for taking us through that presentation. Excited about prenatal planning. That will be fantastic. My son is getting married that night, so I won't be with you, but Cindy will be here to take care of everybody. That's very exciting. Cindy, you mentioned your dad was positive. I don't know that I know a more positive person than you. So you picked that up from your dad. So
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, when we were teenagers, it drove us crazy that he was so positive. We would be like, just don't be so positive because, you know, when you're a teenager, you kind of want to be crabby or something. I don't know. But it drove us crazy. He was so positive, but I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you, folks. It's been good to be with you tonight. We'll see you on September 8th. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.